Top 25. Keep chat open so I can see you guys and interact with you. Oklahoma lost. That was to Georgia, right? LSU. What? Oh yeah, I remember that game. The game where no one could stop a cold until the second half. All right, so Colorado went undefeated. Georgia, I believe in the last poll I had Georgia above. Georgia beat Texas, and Georgia will be number one. Colorado will be number two. Make sure I don't mess up last time, or this time, because last time I accidentally left off Florida. We have Oklahoma open, because they're going to drop a little. Clemson went undefeated. There's your number three. Oregon went undefeated. There's your number four. Then for me, like, I think highly of the Oklahoma coach. He's back-to-back champ, but because he lost to LSU, I can't in good conscience put him above LSU, even though I know LSU's six. So LSU will go there. I think they're going to play an SEC championship game anyway. Actually, no, it'll be Georgia. So Oklahoma will jump the loser, probably. All right, so Oklahoma six. We'll see about that though. So LSU and Oklahoma, so we're good. Top six are done. Louisville at 7. Number 8, you got Notre Dame and Central Florida. Notre Dame didn't play a game, but it's okay. The Massey is a strength of schedule. UCF, a big win against Utah, and a tougher schedule. So for that, I'll have UCF in front of Notre Dame. Make sure I'm paying attention when I do this. Okay. Tennessee suffered their second loss of the season, so I have to keep them in mind. North Carolina lost. See, this is what makes it tough, because Old Dominion is undefeated, but their strength of schedule is 87. Like, I can't put them top 10. I feel like I can't put them top 10 because their schedule is bad. But then who would I put top 10? Do I put Tennessee? Sure. Theirs is 8. They have 2 losses. Like, to me, a 2-loss power team is better than a no loss. Like, a difference of 2 games to me is like where it sits. If they were 11-1, it wouldn't even be a question. You're 1 game worse. You have one less loss, but a much easier schedule because you play in a weaker conference. Whereas Tennessee has a top 10 schedule and 2 losses. Like, I mean, you need to win your games, yeah, but that matters a lot. Okay, so we got Old Dominion. I'm gonna keep them open for now. I mean, they did finish undefeated, but I feel like with a 2-loss team, it makes it an interesting conversation if it's in a power conference. And this is where things get dicey. 11, I can't justify putting anyone ahead of them. Because if it's a 2-loss power conference team, who would it be? No one. Because all the 2-loss teams have a reasonably closer schedule. And North Carolina just lost. They lost to Georgia Tech, who's not even a ranked team. Utah got its 3rd loss. Ohio State win against Michigan, win against Nebraska, win against Indiana. Indiana was ranked, I believe, or close to it at least. 42. That's the only one I think I would be able to justify. Got all his games in on the last weekend. All right, Ohio State. Then I would put Old Dominion at 12. So I'm cool with that. Okay. You have North Carolina just lost. You've got Iowa, who's on a tear right now. I'll put Iowa at 13. So they stay the same. North Carolina lost. Keep them open, so I know I need to move them down. Utah just lost. They're going to move down. Florida lost to Ole Miss. That must have just happened tonight. All right, so Kansas State will jump up to 14, and it's the same reasoning that I had for Old Dominion is the same reasoning I have for Sam Houston. You see, Sam Houston is 9-0. They're going to get sim wins, but look at their schedule. There's 133 teams. Their strength of schedule is 130. So they have the fourth easiest schedule in the nation. Being undefeated is still an accomplishment, but it's not, for me, it's not going to get super rewarded because your schedule is too easy. Then we have the Southern Miss. So this guy actually got kicked out of the league because his coach reports are so bad. He was going for it on fourth down when he was up by multiple touchdowns in games. Super awkward. Super awkward. We're going to put TCU up here. TCU is going to jump up for me. They're 2 losses. I had them decently high on my other coach poll. Okay, so TCU there. Could I drop North Carolina to 16? I think I'd be fine with that. So North Carolina dropping to 16. Utah from 14 to 17. And Florida, like, they're still going to stay in there, but they're, that's tough because Utah's a top 3, or Florida, sorry, top 3 schedule. All right, so Central Michigan at 18. Fine with that. Southern Miss will not be voted in my poll, so I can skip them. Texas is 6-3. I know they lost to Florida. Who was the other loss? Georgia. Utah State by 3 points. Jeez. So 2 losses this block. Then we have to start to get into the others, the other ones. So this is where things will get interesting. I just want to make sure I'm not missing a team down here. Some teams had some really good seasons too. And the Sims are going to change stuff. Like, the Sims won't be until after the conference championship anyway. So my top 25 may change quite a bit because they don't have the full resume. So I can just go strictly off a resume. So Southern Miss will be left out. Wisconsin lost to Nebraska. They have 4 losses. Vanderbilt has no coach. They're not getting voted in. San Diego State, though they're farther back, this is where it makes things difficult too. I don't like voting for myself, but I feel like it's hard not to in this situation, and I'll explain why. So Washington State is 10-2. They just had a win against Boise. They've been on a run. Washington State at 19. They've been on the cusp of my poll, but they haven't quite broken in. So then there's Florida. Oh yeah, I gotta put Sam Houston in there. See, I almost forgot. That would have been bad. So they're not in there. So I gotta slot teams down. Washington State. Central Michigan, Utah, North Carolina has a strength of schedule 63. Put Sam Houston at 17. Like, the strength of schedule just matters a ton to me. Their strength of schedule is bad. It's not fully the coach's fault. Like, obviously, if he loses those games, the strength of schedule goes up because they have more wins, but the teams that he played just didn't have good seasons. So, yeah. So let me see if I have 20. Let me just double check that I have everyone I'm supposed to have. Oklahoma is 6. Colorado is 2. Georgia's 1. Clemson, Oregon, LSU, Louisville, Notre Dame, UCF, Tennessee, Old Dominion, North Carolina, Iowa, Utah, Ohio State, Sam Houston. I don't have Florida because I'm going to put them in. Kansas State, it's 14. Central Michigan is there. Texas I don't have, but I'm going to. TCU is there. Wisconsin, I don't know if they'll make it for me. And then I went down and I grabbed Washington State. Okay. So then we have Florida with 4 losses. We have Wisconsin with 4. We have Texas with 3. Now we go into the other things. So then you have East Carolina and myself at Tulane and San Diego State. And then you have Wake Forest. East Carolina is ahead of me. I'll put them 21. I'll put myself in. It'll be the first time I voted for myself all season. I feel like I have no choice because the only way that I would justify not putting myself this high is I would take a 3-loss power conference team, which would be Wake Forest. They're 7-3. I mean, I could put Wake Forest ahead of us. Tulane. I'm not going to rate myself high, but like I only have 1 loss. It's hard not to put myself in there. And then this will be Wake Forest. Wake Forest finishing really well. And then 2 spots left. It's hard not to put Texas in there. It's almost like I'm penalizing Texas for putting him in here, though, because the reason he's ranked, the reason I was putting him in my poll was because of him not playing his games, he would drop out the poll. So if he won games, those would be potential bonus points that he would get. And he should be ranked if he would play his games, but he always plays his games at the last minute. He's a procrastinator. It's like I'm rewarding him for playing late because he's not ranked. Always makes it tough. And then the question is Florida or San Diego State, basically, at this point. And I'll go with Florida. And then once we get the Sims, I think we'll be good. There's so many teams lost, it just makes it hard to get this right. That's what we'll roll with.